The NHL draft is one of the most important days on the hockey calendar, and while there's a lot of pressure on teams to nail their first round pick, teams need to be finding home runs on the second day of the draft if they want to become championship contenders. Being deep at the center position is usually a pretty good recipe for success, and with that being said, let's take a look at 3 centers who I believe have top 6 potential that teams could target early on the second day. First off, let's talk about Dellandrea of the Flint Firebirds, who put up 27 goals and 32 assists in 67 games and is ranked 25th by NHL Central Scouting for North American forwards. The 6-foot, 185-pound center did pretty much everything for the Flint Firebirds this year, who were one of the OHL's worst teams. And really, there's positives and negatives of being on the worst team in your draft year. The argument could be made that it's super impressive that he was relied upon and had to do a lot of the heavy lifting in both the offensive and defensive zone, but on the flip side, he was given all of this opportunity, someone had to get the points, it had to be him. I think it's still pretty impressive considering the kind of help he had this year. The Firebirds were the worst in the OHL in goal differential by a lot. They were minus 122. The next closest team was the Sudbury Wolves with minus 94. I really think if he was on a better team, we'd be looking at a 75-point year at least. Dellandrea was their #1 centerman and was used in every situation. He was second in ice time at 5-on-5 for forwards and was on the first unit penalty kill and power play. He ranked 29th in the OHL in shots on goal per game with 3.55 and converted on a healthy 11.34% of all of his shots. 20 of his 59 points came on the man advantage, so he was creating offense pretty effectively at even strength, and only 11 of his points were secondary assists, indicating that he was largely driving the bus for the Firebirds. His 47 primary points was 6th in the OHL for first-year draft eligibles. So what's his game about? He doesn't really do anything elite, but he really does do everything well, and which is likely why he's ranked where he is. It did frustrate me a little bit just because I can see his brain processing the play at high speeds, but he just doesn't have the skill set that would push him over the edge and become that elite player. He knows how to gain the zone and distribute the puck, and his positioning in both zones is also phenomenal. In the defensive zone, he does a great job of supporting his defenders down low and wingers on the wall, and in the offensive zone, he's always able to find open pockets of ice. He's also usually one step ahead of the rest in terms of what play needs to be made, it's just that he isn't at the level where he can truly dominate with that knowledge. His skating is decent. In no way is he slow, but I think he can be faster with a few fixes. I like his posture and his knee bend, but he doesn't extend the leg as much as I'd like to see, and I think that a combination of that and putting on strength in his lower body will allow him to keep up to NHL speeds. He also has a pretty good shot. It's heavy with a smooth pullback, but it's not deceptive or quick in release. I think he's more of a playmaker with his vision, but if he can add another offensive tool as well as improve on his skating, there's a player there. Let's quickly break down a shift that I think breaks down Dellandrea's game to a T. Already late in his shift, Dellandrea makes a good defensive play to break up a pass to the point. He brings the puck up through the neutral zone and makes a good outside-inside move to push the defenders back as he crosses the blue line. He recognizes that his team is on a 3-on-2 and he drops the puck back and gets to an open spot on the ice. While the end result wasn't the prettiest, that play was all Dellandrea as it originated in his own zone off of a good defensive play, and he brought the puck up through the neutral zone and attacked the offensive zone. But you can see how he's very good at assessing the game and what he needs to do, it's just he doesn't have any elite skill that really pushes him over the edge. Watching him play at the U18s, I loved his game because he was relentless on the puck on the forecheck and in his own zone. Also, from what I've read, he just seems like that guy who has it together. He has the right attitude, the right work ethic, and he seems very down to earth. I know there's a lot of jokes about intangibles, but I still think there's some merit in the fact that he was an assistant captain for Team Canada at the U18s. To me, I think his upside is a very good second liner who could play on the first with 2 very highly skilled wingers. I think with the way Dellandrea plays, he would allow the skilled players to unlock their potential, if you will, and Dellandrea can kind of just look after the defensive zone as well as keep up in the offensive zone and make some plays himself. The next player I'd like to talk about is Jay O'Brien, who was named the top American high school player of the year. Ranked number 32 by NHL Central Scouting Services for North American forwards, he put up 43 goals and 37 assists in 30 games. He's a very interesting prospect, not only because he's playing in the US high school system, but he's also a bit older than his peers in this draft, being a November born. And with that, it's always hard to judge these types of players. Competition will always be an asterisk for guys like these, and he's most certainly going to be a project going to Providence next season, but that doesn't mean he isn't worth it. It's going to take time for him to adjust to the higher pace of play and level, but looked very, very capable in his stint with the US National Development Team program playing against NCAA schools. The Providence coach also isn't that worried, as he believes he'd score in no matter what league he's in. Looking at his strengths, he attacks the offensive zone very well with his speed, and he can slow plays down using his vision, as he has a very high hockey IQ. He's also very strong on his skates for his size and is defensively responsible. He has an exemplary work ethic, and his skating is raw, but the base is there, and he can play in any type of situation. To me, I think he's more of a playmaker, but his 43 goals was no fluke. The kid can finish with an accurate shot. So things to improve upon, like I said, just his overall pace and getting used to higher competition. He's most definitely a project where every facet of his game needs work. However, the foundation is definitely there because of his work ethic. All of his coaches rave about his work ethic, his motor, and how he just wants to get better, and to me, that makes me a huge believer in Jay O'Brien. And lastly, let's talk about Aidan Dudas, the 5'7", 165-pound center for the Owen Sound Attack, who put up 31 goals and 34 assists in 68 games. He's ranked number 68 by NHL Central Scouting, so look for him to go in the 3rd or 4th round. There's a clear trend in the NHL now that isn't really a secret. Speed and skill are the top commodities in the league, and the bias against smaller players is slowly dissipating. At 5'7", Dudas is very much on the small side, but when you watch him play, you begin to understand why he's considered draft-worthy. Instead of waiting for his teammates to create offense, he takes the reins and does it for himself. He is very often the catalyst of making some amazing play out of nothing. The first thing you notice is his skating ability. His acceleration to top speed is excellent from a stop, and he is able to use his edges while pivoting to adjust his angles and lanes while maintaining or regaining speed. Now, he can do all of this while handling the puck, and the kid has some hands on him as well, making the combination deadly for defenders on the rush. He can also stick handle in tight, allowing him to create plays out of nowhere for himself and his teammates, not to mention his vision and passing are excellent as well. The guy also kills penalties, and he kills them well. I loved watching him on the penalty kill as he hurries to his spots and fully stops and starts, which is very important. He's also able to wheel the puck out of the zone and look deadly on the penalty kill. He definitely isn't afraid to go to the dirty areas, but figuring out different ways to maintain his space on the ice is something that will have to be constantly evolving. To me, he's exactly the kind of swing for the fences pick you'd love to see your team make as early as the 3rd round. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new about one of these prospects, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, as it really helps me out knowing if I'm doing stuff right or wrong on this channel. And if you're just passing by, please consider hitting subscribe, as I've been very late to this, but more draft content is coming out within these next few days leading up to the draft. I am super excited for next Friday, and with that, have a good one.